Hello, welcome again to Wisdom Nuggets for Impartation. And again, this is a series of very short exhortations on connecting to the anointing by connecting to the anointed servants God has given to us. And this is the second lesson. Well, today I want to share with you briefly what the impartation is all about. So what is the impartation? And I'm going to give you three very simple, basic meanings of impartation. Now, the first one is that, number one, impartation is a transmission of spiritual endowment from an anointed vessel. Okay, so when you talk about impartation, you're talking about the transfer or transmission of spiritual endowment from one vessel, the anointed vessel, to the other vessel that usually lacks that anointing. A verse that helps us here is Romans chapter 1 and verse 11. Romans chapter 1 and verse number 11. And here Paul said to the church in Rome, says, "For I long to see you, that I may impart unto you some spiritual gift to the end ye may be established." To the end ye may be established. So here Paul was saying that he longed, he was longing to see the church in Rome so that he would impart unto them a spiritual gift. So that explains that impartation is a transmission. Here Paul was going to transmit that spiritual endowment, he the anointed vessel, to the church that needed that anointing. So it is a transmission of spiritual endowment from an anointed vessel. The second thing about impartation that we need to know is that it is the transmission of the power of God from his anointed vessel to deal with the situations of life. All right, so it is a transmission of the power of God. So that's also impartation, not only about gifts, not only about specific anointings in ministry, but it is also the transmission of the power of God from his anointed vessel to deal with situations of life. So when you sit in a service and a great man of God, a bishop is preaching and there's anointing flowing, that transmission of power that comes out from him to meet the specific needs in your life is also what we call impartation. That is what impartation services are for. In Luke chapter 5 and verse 17, you see here talking about Jesus. It says, "And it came to pass on a certain day, as he was teaching," this is talking about Jesus, "that there were Pharisees and doctors of the law sitting by, which were come out of every town of Galilee and Judea and Jerusalem." And now watch this part. It says, "And the power of the Lord was present to heal them." So the power of the Lord was present to heal them. And there were people who got healed. So that was the transmission of the power of God from the anointed vessel, Jesus, to heal. So impartation is also the transmission of power from God's anointed vessel to deal with situations in our lives. And then the third meaning that I want to give to you today is this, that it is also a spiritual platform. All right, impartation is also a spiritual platform for the duplication and multiplication of graces upon God's anointed servants. All right, so impartation is also a platform. It's a means by which God would duplicate, and he would also multiply the graces that is upon specific vessels that he has anointed. And a good verse here is in Philippians chapter 1 and verse 7. Here again Paul says, even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, in as much as both in my bonds and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel." Now watch this part. It says, "Ye all are partakers of my grace." So Paul was saying to the church in Philippi that, look, you are all partakers of my grace. You're all taking part in the grace that is upon me, in the anointing that is upon me, the grace that God has given me. You are also partakers. So that is impartation. Impartation is a platform for the duplication, meaning the anointing and the graces that is upon one person becomes duplicated in another person, and sometimes multiplied. If you think about the case of Elijah and Elisha, it involved multiplication because one vessel had more than the other. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a short exhortation on impartation and what impartation is all about. So first of all, we said impartation is the transmission of spiritual endowment from an anointed vessel. Number two, transmission of the power of God from his anointed vessel to deal with situations in our lives. And then number three, it's a spiritual platform for duplication and multiplication of graces and anointings. Well, this is all I have for you today, and until I come your way another day with wisdom nuggets for impartation, stay blessed. And next week we'll look at specific things more pertaining to how you can receive impartation. God richly bless you.